Hi. The questions that I've been asked to answer, the first one is, what basic school finance knowledge would you like for a prospective principal to possess? I think a principal needs to know and understand the basic framework of school funding statewide, what's foundation funding, what's property taxes, get a good framework for that, but then know and understand what is available at the local level, at the building level for them to use and reference for their resources. Things like federal funds, things like the local budgets that a district may give them. What does a district allow for professional development for the building? What would a principal need to know regarding those budgets? What's the process for accessing that money? What's the process for approval of getting that money? And what is the building's responsibility as it relates to the district's criteria? I think that it's important to have a pretty broad knowledge of numbers in general. I think you probably must need to know how to do some arithmetic and know how to operate some Excel spreadsheets and make some things that some reports on your own perhaps, or have some way to be able to do your own some level of bookkeeping. But there's some basic things that you do need to know, and they pretty much are that you've got to know how to budget things and how to allocate money over the course of time. And it's always better to leave a little money in there than to do your boss and say, I spent more on my budget than I was allocated. So the other question was, what advice do you have for building level leaders regarding school finance? I think the answer that I would say is, first of all, and this sounds a little cold, but you got to learn how to say no, especially for that first year as a building principal. You can plead ignorance and say, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to have to say no to a lot of requests until I can figure out how this money thing works. So don't be afraid to say no and have the courage to say no. And then you will eventually be able to say yes, as opposed to being at the end of the year and saying, oh no. So learn how to say no. And second of all, learn how to allocate things over a 12-month period. And in relationship to saying no, you cannot spend all your money in September. You've got to leave some hanging out there for May and for April. So that would be one thing. Second thing is, or another thing is to get very, very familiar with the procedures of your district. Get very familiar. Each district has its unique procedures regarding purchasing and travel. And so make sure you know what those are. Hold your folks accountable for those processes that are in place at the district level, but you've got to know them as well. Know and understand what your district expects of you. When you travel, what's acceptable, what's not. When your teachers travel, what's acceptable, what's not. What kind of receipts do they need to return to you? What do they need to have approved in advance of the travel? People get in trouble with travel more than just about anything else, because we get out of town, you get loose and do stupid stuff. So be aware of what the procedures are, and as I said, be aware of what the purchasing procedures are as well. I had an unfortunate situation when my first year of administration, where a teacher walked up to the principal that I was working with, handed her receipts for things that she had purchased at Walmart the previous day. And the principal looked at her and said, "Do we talk about this in advance?" And principal teacher said no, and the principal said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to cover that," because they had not had conversations in advance of that purchase. So train that with your teachers. Let them know what your expectations as principals are, but base those expectations on what the district has to say, what the district wants you to do. Ultimately, as in all parts of administration, do not be afraid to ask questions, make phone calls, ask people what you need to do. Don't go flying on your own. Find somebody that knows what they're doing at the building, at the district level, or at the building level. Ask questions and make sure that you follow procedures. Thank you.